So what I did with the tomatoes in this pot is full of tomato sauce. And I was going to can it. And then I thought, well, I'm not going to do that because we only have 1 jar of spaghetti sauce, pasta sauce on the pantry shelf left downstairs. And the pasta sauce is with meat. So what I did was today we took out from the cow we had butchered. I took out all the ground beef that we're going to need, and we chopped up a bunch of peppers and onions. Pot has ketchup in it. So today's day 2 of the big tomato pepper preservation, and it's going to be a crazy day. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little overwhelmed today, and I'm a little dizzy. Every year at this time, I get vertigo really bad. So my trusty helper here is going to help with the spaghetti sauce, the meat pasta sauce. So we're going to fry up 5 pounds of our ground beef from the cow we had processed. And yesterday we cut up all the onion and peppers. I may need a bit more, but we'll see. I never follow a recipe. I've been making the same sauce for years and years, and I just kind of go with the flow. I've already prepared all the tomato sauce that I cooked down in the roaster. We put them through the tomato press, and then as I'm making it, I just add things as I go along. So he's going to be working mainly on this, and I'm going to get the roasted peppers, the brine, and everything ready for that. And then there's a million other things still to do, but we'll see how far we get with that. This is all of the tomato sauce that I made. I made it really thick, and if I need to thin it out, I have plenty of the tomato juice to oh. And I also have diced tomatoes from last year that I canned that I usually throw a bit into. And this pot is my old canner that the weight broke on, so I'm just using it as a stock pot now. This is oregano from our garden. Basil from our garden. Ooh. And parsley. Like I said, I don't measure. I just start off with this, and then I'll adjust the seasoning as it goes along. And I'm going to let this simmer all day long. This is salt. And I'm using non-iodized salt because I'm going to be canning this. Just stick it in there, and then when all the beef is done, I'll do the vegetables in the same pan. And I'm going to go get more tomato sauce downstairs and diced tomatoes because that's not going to be enough. Sorry about the lighting, it's dim over here. There's no light over the stove yet. So we still have 2 pounds of green beef to add to this and all the vegetables. And I still find it a bit thick after adding the diced tomatoes, so I may add more tomato sauce, but right now I'm also going to shred up a zucchini and add to it for extra nutrition. You don't taste it, you really don't see it, and that's going to give off some flavor, liquid too. And so we're going to put the rest of the meat in, then fry up the vegetables. Vegetables we chopped up are going to get fried up a little bit so the onions are like a little bit translucent. I find the flavor much better in the sauce when they're cooked a bit. And when they're just about done, I'll add the garlic in there as well. Turn it up a little bit. And I always find home canned tomatoes very acidic, whether I use the lemon juice or the citric acid. So I always add a little bit of brown sugar to my sauce just to cut that acidity a little bit. And look how much this pot's filling up. I did add 2 more cans of tomato sauce, and the vegetables will go in. Let this simmer for a couple of hours, and then I'm going to taste it for seasoning. No point tasting it now because none of the flavors have melded together yet. So once the veggies go in, we'll let it sit for a bit, and then I'll do a taste test. Okay, they're just about done, so now I'm just going to put the garlic in. And we're just about done. The onions are just translucent. They're not like fully cooked, but I like them to get a bit of flavor from frying them up. Okay, I switched it back over to the bigger burner, and that went pretty fast. 2 of us working together. In no time we got it done. So I'm literally going to let this go for hours on a very low heat. And in a couple of hours, I'll taste it for seasoning. And I may even add another can of tomato sauce or another jar of tomato sauce and see how it goes. But I like it to go long and slow. I'm in no rush for this. We're going to be eating this for months and months, so I'm in no hurry. So I'll bring you back when we do a taste test. I'm so upset. Last year I made the best roasted red peppers in a marinade, and I canned them. And for the life of me, I can't find the recipe. I don't know if I found it online, if I found it in a canning book. I can't find it anywhere at all. I have spent hours trying to find it, and I can't find it anywhere. And it upsets me because my favorite thing in the world to can and eat are roasted red peppers. So I found another one, but I don't think it's anywhere similar to what I did. But I have to can them because I've already roasted all these. I have others I can still roast if I happen to come across it. And I got new glasses, so hopefully it cuts down on the glare and or you can see me better. I can still see, so that's a plus. So this recipe is a cup of bottled lemon juice, 2 cups of white vinegar, a cup of olive oil, 1.5 teaspoons of salt. And I'm pretty sure the one that I used, either it didn't have the lemon juice or it had a much lower lemon juice content. I know it had the vinegar because it has to be safe for canning. So I'm going to try this one because I have to get these peppers canned, but I have no idea where I got it. I've searched YouTube, I searched Google, I went through every canning book that I have. Oh, I forgot. I'm also I roasted some garlic and I'm putting that at the bottom, and I even smashed them a bit so they release a bit more flavor. Last year when I did this, the recipe said to put 1 garlic clove at the bottom of the jar, and I didn't smash it or anything, and I find it didn't release enough garlic flavor at all. And I'm not like crazy garlic lover, but I didn't taste the garlic at all. So I'm putting a little bit more, and I smashed it. So I guess I'm also not very prepared. I shouldn't have waited to the last minute to do it. I should have written it in my, like I keep like a binder of all my favorite recipes and canning info and stuff like that. I'm so upset. It's my absolute favorite recipe, and it turned out perfect because I'm not a huge like vinegar pickle lover. Like I'm not fond of that taste very much. So this had the perfect balance of like vinegar to olive oil, and it was still safe for canning. I don't even remember if I water bathed it or pressure canned it. This recipe calls for water bathing, so I have to go with this for now because these guys need to be preserved. So it said 1 inch a headspace, so I'm just gonna fill them like that. I think I can squeeze another little piece in there. And then I'll fill it with the brine. And I put some of, you can see when I roasted them, I saved all the juice that came out of them. And I put a little bit in the brine too because it has so much flavor. So this has to be debubbled a lot because it has to get through all the bits and pieces. And I'm very meticulous about all like my recipes, and I keep notes, I keep lists, I do all that kind of stuff. So I'm very surprised I didn't record it or keep a note of where. I don't want to take one out. I'd rather be safe than sorry. So spaghetti sauce is almost done. We've got this project going, and after these water baths, I'll get the rest of the ketchup in there because I used part of the ketchup. I didn't record this, but I tried out a barbecue sauce recipe that I really like. So the base of it was ketchup, so I used part of the ketchup that I made for that. So now that I'm done with that batch of ketchup, I can can it. So if anybody has a good roasted red pepper to marinate and can recipe, And I'm so dizzy on top of everything. Every spring and fall. It's with the barometric pressure change. We went from, I told you that last week we had like 140-degree weather Fahrenheit, and then it went down like to 60 degrees. Like it just drops, and my ears can't handle it. So it takes a few weeks for them to figure life out. Don't they look so pretty in the jar? And it takes so many peppers to fill a jar. It's like they're gold. I mean, I grew a lot of them, but you see how much it takes to fill one little pint jar. But look how pretty. I love them. All right, so I'm probably only going to get 4, maybe 5 pints. I'll show you what they look like before I put them in the canner and when they come out. Okay, I got 5 pints, barely. This guy has more liquid than these ones. And it takes a lot of peppers to do this. I'm sure there's at least 18, 20 Advarsky peppers just in these jars. So that's why I'm so upset with myself that I can't find the proper recipe that I used, because you use so many peppers in just these few jars that if it's not the recipe that I liked, I'm going to be really upset. Anyway, they're going to go in the canner for 15 minutes. I'm going to get my the ketchup in jars, so when they come out, they can go back in. Just keep going with the flow. And the spaghetti sauce or pasta sauce is amazing. We've tasted it several times, and I think I'm just going to let it be. It's good on its own. I don't want to thin it. I don't want to thicken it. I think the seasonings I put in are just right. So, and look, can you see any zucchini? Your kids will never know. So I'm just going to let it simmer a bit more. We're going to actually have some with supper. And I won't get to canning this today. That'll be canned tomorrow. And that's going to feed us all through the winter. I'm back. And it's been a minute. It's been a few days, actually, 3. And I just kind of crashed. Sometimes that happens. And it's hard for me to explain. And I don't like to talk about it because then people think it's like a pity party or whatever. But this is what happens in a life with fibromyalgia. And I guess everything over the last few weeks of canning a lot and preserving a lot and trying to do a lot caught up to me, and I just crashed. The pain got overwhelming, the fatigue, and then usually when that happens mentally, it brings me down because I still want to do all the things, and I get very frustrated and upset that I can't do them, and then it just snowballs. And then yesterday I thought, okay, let's try again. And I even blow dried my hair because finally the humidity is gone. And it's not that I don't blow dry it for in the house because the house is air conditioned. It's when I go outside, there's no point. If it's humid, it just goes crazy curly. And when you have limited energy to begin with, to blow dry my hair, believe it or not, is a huge task on a normal basis. So I reserve my energy for certain things. So yesterday I thought, okay, I'll start off with that, and that just depleted me. I couldn't do any more after that. So I'm not coming on here to say, oh, look how much I did and now I can't do anymore. Every single thing I do on this homestead is because I love to do it. I absolutely love every single bit. I chose this life. We chose it later in life. It's something I always wanted to do. It's just that it happened later in our life, and I try and make up for lost time. And everything I do is a labor of love. I wish I could do more. There's so many more things I would love to do, but even now I restrict myself because I know I can only do so much. And it just so happens this time of year, a lot happens at the same time. And like I said, it just got caught up with me. And then, like, it brings you down and frustrating. And anyway, today I figured what really helps me, and I truly, truly mean this, is being in the kitchen or being anywhere with you, but particularly in the kitchen. It's like having a friend to talk to, even to have this type of conversation. But when I'm preserving or cooking, it's like having a friend here to talk to. I mean, Frank's always around and that, but it's different. It gives me someone to talk to, and I enjoy it very, very much. I'm really very much an introvert, and socially, I don't like big crowds or anything like that. So this is a perfect, um, see, I'm very disorganized with my thoughts this morning. This gives me a perfect way to talk and be with people without being around a lot of people, if that makes sense. So it motivated me this morning to be with you and continue on the projects that really, really need to be done and to get on with the day. So that's what we're going to do. I'm feeling better. I'm not feeling great, but I know once I get talking to you and get into the groove of it, it inspires me. And when I start, even if I pretend to be happy or pretend to smile and that, it it tricks your mind and body into thinking you feel better. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to fake it till you make it kind of thing. So we're going back to the peppers. I I finished what I did the other day. So yesterday I did manage to roast a few more, and I'm going to continue canning some of them, and I'm going to do a bit of rebel canning. So I don't want anyone to follow what I'm doing. I'm just going to show you what I'm going to do, but please don't do it if you're not a rebel canner. And I'm also I saved a lot of the skins from the peppers, and I'm going to dry them out in the oven, or you could dehydrate them, but I have so many and I have a very small dehydrator. And I'm powdering them up to just use like you would, as a seasoning or into recipes. I figured instead of letting them all go to waste, I would try doing that. I don't think I'll use all of them because there's a lot of skins. And then I'll wrap up and show you everything that I've done. I'm going to make stuffed peppers for supper tonight because I never got to that either, but I'll probably do that separately because this video has probably gone on long enough. So I'm going to get set up again, and we're going to get on to the peppers. So let's do this, and I'm so happy you're here with me. I truly, truly am. So I did a few last night, and I'm reusing the parchment paper. And I kept these in the fridge overnight. I'm trying to pick more like the bigger pieces, but they're full of flavor, and I still don't really know what I would use them for in a dry state when I crumble them all up, but I'm sure I could think of something. To me, it just seems like such a waste to throw them all out. I'm not going to use every single one, but like they're just so much full of flavor, and I'm not going to use my dehydrator because it's very small, and this goes a lot faster. I have the oven set at 210, and they dried really, really quickly. So I'll just do a bit just to show you. I'll probably have to do this a few times during the course of the day. Some are thicker than others. It depends on. I grew 2 types of roasting peppers. I did my Advarskis that I love, the red roasting peppers. And then I grew another kind called Carmen, and they're really just as good, but their skins are even thicker, but the peppers don't grow quite as big, but they seem to taste just as good. It was just something new to try. And I'm saving the seeds from both of them. I've already started a collection of seed saving that we'll do in a whole other video. Like, this takes no time to do it. It'll go in the oven while I'm doing something else. And then whatever I think to put this in, I don't know, I guess soup, stews, maybe even a bit on a salad, meat. I can't think right now, but I'm sure I'll think of something when the time comes. I don't want to put too many beside each other. I don't want them overlapping because then they really won't dry properly. All right, so I'm going to get these in the oven. So I have it, I think, at 210. And they'll dry in no time. And then I just crumble them up and I put them in a jar. So we'll see how many I get going through the course of the day. Believe me, it takes a lot. I did this yesterday. I got barely that much in a jar, but I think it's worth it. I'll be right back. Okay, so where we left off, I had to go back and check, was I did a few jars of the peppers in a marinade with mainly vinegar, lemon oil, and just a touch of olive oil. I couldn't find my favorite recipe, and I still can't. And I know I'm not going to be very pleased with that. So I did a little bit of kind of like more research, but this is rebel canning. So please beware. This is something I choose to do. It's not recommended by the USDA and all the canning gods, but this is something I choose to do. It's only Frank and I who are going to be consuming it. So what I've decided to do, first of all, I'm going to do some in jelly jars because Frank made a pizza on the weekend, and we opened a jar of the marinated ones, and it didn't use a lot of the peppers. So I realized that if I do maybe a few just like this, for the case of, like, say, making the pizza, we don't have to open a jar for other things and have leftovers. So I roasted my garlic, and what I'm going to do is put maybe not even a tablespoon of vinegar in the bottom. And then I'm going to take my, like, look how many more I roasted, but you're going to see how far it doesn't go. That's why I'm upset I can't find my recipe, because the peppers are slowing down now. And so to me, this size is perfect, like for a pizza, because we only make like a 10, 12-inch pizza between the two of us. And so a bit of vinegar. And this is all the juice from roasting them. So I'm going to put a touch of that in. Swoosh it all around and get the air bubbles out. And then I'm just going to top it off with a bit of olive oil. The main thing you need to do is make sure your peppers are covered in whatever liquid. So that's what I'm choosing to do. And I think I'm going to enjoy that a lot better. So I'm going to do a few little ones like that. And then I'll do a big one with you. My jars are all clean and everything is in a cold stage right now. So my roasted garlic that I'm kind of like smushing so the flavors release a bit better in the jar. Everything is cold. My canner's cold. My peppers are cold because they were in the fridge overnight. My liquids are cold, or they're room temperature, but so far I've put 6 peppers in that jar. Before I add any more fluid or any more peppers, I'll put in my little bit of vinegar, my delicious roasting pepper juice. Get that down in there. So once they're roasted and flattened and squished, it takes a good 7 peppers to fill a pint jar. I see I can still fit another one in there. Not a big one, but one. I'll pick not a big one. Maybe this guy. There. And then I'll top it off with, I'm just using regular olive oil, not extra virgin, because I really want the peppers to be the star. I don't want a strong oil taste. Really, really debubble, get into every nook and cranny. There. And I think they're absolutely beautiful. And when I did a jar of the other colored peppers, these little orange ones held up okay. But when I did a banana pepper in that, they didn't. It was just way too hard to peel the skins off and that. So I stopped doing them, and I think I'll just kind of stick to the regular roasting peppers. And I'm going to pickle some of the other ones, even though I'm not a huge fan of that, but just for the sake of preserving them. And I can gift some too. So I'm really, really, really cleaning my rims well with with vinegar because of the oil. I'm going to go over it a second time on the clean side of the paper towel. I could just use a touch more. And then I'm clean lids. And when I have them all filled, I'm going to put them in the water bath for 15 minutes. And then I'll bring you back when it's all done. So this kind of sums up and ends tomato and pepper season for 2023. I'm grateful, I'm thankful, I'm blessed, or we are, but I'm done with tomatoes for this year. I think on the weekend we gave away about 70, 80 pounds of tomatoes, and Frank's out in the garden now just picking little bits here and there, and I think we're done. This is all the canning or preservation by any means of tomatoes I'm doing going forward, and this is what we did the last few days and that break in between. So this is all spaghetti sauce that I did in that big pot. One jar didn't seal, so it's in the freezer. This is all tomato sauce that I did in that big roaster with the ketchup and that, because once you have tomato sauce, you can turn this into so many other things. I've been having a lot of siphoning issues, so they're not quite tall, but I do make my tomato sauce very thick. So as far as quantity goes, if I add some water to it, I'll still get a quart, but I'm having siphoning issues. Here's the ketchup, and I only have 4 quarts because what I still had in the pot before I canned this, I turned some into barbecue sauce. I didn't video that. It was my first time making it, and I wanted to see if we liked it or not. It's a copycat of Sweet Baby Ray's, and we really, really liked it. So that will be something. I don't know if I'll do it every year because we don't go through it that often, but we really liked it. And here are the peppers I did a few days ago, and here are the ones that just came out of the canner today. So all in all, it was a busy last few days, but obviously well worth it. All of this to go on the pantry shelf. And this is my little collection of the pepper skin flakes or whatever. So I'm going to just keep doing that over the course of the day or so. And like I said, I'm not sure quite yet what I'll use them on, but it's not a waste to do that. And maybe we'll use them, maybe we won't. So that's it. And I'm pretty proud of myself. It took longer than I thought, but that's how I work now, at a slower pace. And I have to give myself grace for that. And I don't always do that, but I have to learn to. And I wanted to thank you because you truly don't know what it means to have you here with me. It means so very much. It really, really does. It's not just words. I really, really mean it. It helps me more than you know. So until we're together again, take care.